Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Helen.
And this is the Squiggly Careers podcast. And this is the 4th episode of our Squiggly Career Skills Sprint.
Past the halfway point now.
Unless you start today.
Oh, yeah. In which case, you've got a few other episodes to catch up on.
And it doesn't really matter too much what order you do them in. It's more that you are trying things out, that you're experimenting. And quick reminder, just in case you are starting with networking, you do need the daily skills sprint summaries. Link in the show notes. Email us, Helen and Sarah at squigglycareers.com if you've not got them. The reason they're so important is where you'll find the prompts that you can literally cut and paste. You'll find examples of the tools and all the links to learn from. So it will make your life so much easier once you've got them.
And today we're talking about the skill of networking. Oh, I know it's a bit divisive. Some people are like, I hate this one. Don't skip. Just skip, because it's really, really important for your development. In fact, squiggly stat time, 70% of people's roles come through a connection. So if we are not creating the connections, if we're not building the relationships we need, we have less access to roles in the future. And that is a big part of what makes your career resilient in a squiggly career, that we've got more than one opportunity, we've got more than one option. What we need to do is build our networks in a way that feels authentic. So the way we frame this in our work is think about this not as people knowing people. So it's not, the amount of connections you've got on LinkedIn, for example. It's not that. It's people helping people. And this works for a couple of reasons. One, you like helping people. We like helping people. Results in something called the helpers high in our brain. Makes us feel good, makes us feel valuable. So it's a better place to start from, to think, how can I be helpful? And then the other reason that this works is it results in reciprocity. So if I help Sarah, she's much more likely to want to help and support me in the future. And if this is the sort of principle that you use to build these relationships, it results in what we kind of term career karma. Like, good stuff comes back to you over time, and that's what we really want from these networks.
So the prompt that we're going to start with today is all about building your personal board. So we did a podcast episode, and this is a tool that we often teach in our workshops around, make sure you've got the right people around you to support you in your squiggly career, and also make sure you've got a range of people around you, because otherwise, there's that risk of, if I have lots of people a bit like Helen, you get an echo chamber trap of people just sort of reinforcing the same things.
People just being annoyingly positive.
Yeah, that too. We'll come on to that in a second. And also, I think sometimes finding difference can feel hard to do. People with different perspectives, people with different experiences. Maybe someone at the start of their career, maybe you just don't come across that many people just starting out. Maybe you don't work with anyone who's got 20 years more experience than you. So I think we all benefit from those different perspectives, but sometimes those people can feel quite hard to reach. And this makes it very easy. And so what we're asking an AI to do here, and I did use ChatGPT and Claude for this one, so I just did it at the same time in both of them, worked well in both. I said, act as my personal career board, take on different personas, including challenger, questioner, supporter, ideator, connector, and empathizer. My current career dilemma is how to make sure I'm balancing enough time learning for myself with spending time supporting other people to learn. What questions or statements would each of these people ask me, and show the data in a table?
So I guess before we get into Sarah's insights and answers, if you're copy and pasting that prompt, the bit that you might want to personalise is the challenge. So Sarah put the learning challenge in, you put whatever challenge is relevant to you.
And so you do get a very neat table, I would say, which was very helpful. And it gave the personas, and it also gave it categorised the voice and focus. So, for example, challenger, direct, bold, high standards. Supporter, encouraging, affirming, emotionally invested. So actually it sort of described the roles a bit for me. And if you read any of that voice and focus and thought, oh, that's not what I want the focus to be, you could obviously amend it and say, oh, have my challenger to have the highest standards of anyone you could imagine, like even higher. You can kind of push it in different directions. So I kind of like that ability to adapt. And then it gave me the prompt or the question. And I think here, what's often helpful is very quickly you've got the range, and then you can dive deeper into what feels useful for you. So for example, my challenger asked me, if you're not learning for yourself, how can you credibly guide others? What are you avoiding? Ooh. And I was like, oh,
what are you avoiding?
I know. It was quite confrontational, but for me, really helpful. As someone who isn't, I'm not naturally very confronting in my style, actually having that prompt to myself around credibility, that really hit home. And I was like, well, it really matters to me to be credible. So that kind of really worked. The supporter one, you give so much to others. What would it look like to give that same care and energy to yourself? I was like, don't care. That one.
Support dismissed.
Support dismissed.
You can leave my board.
But I think I find that, I just found that less motivating.
Yeah.
Just less useful.
For some people, that might be the role that they relate to.
For like nice people,
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah,
much nicer people than me. I think what I've often found when I've tested this tool live with lots of people who kind of learn with us in workshops is you're often missing, maybe you've got 3 or 4 of these in real life, but maybe there's 1 or 2 that you could really do with their perspective, but you haven't got them yet. Again, we're not saying replacement for real people. The advantage, I guess, of this is it's immediate and it fills the gaps you've got for now.
Yeah.
I still want a challenger, but those questions were really good.
Well, what I did was I did copy and pasted the prompt that Sarah had said, but I personalised it with my challenge. And then I said I want to have a one-to-one with my questioner.
Brilliant.
And that for me was like this extra level of usefulness, because it was like I was having a direct conversation, because you get a list of questions with what Sarah showed, which are really useful. But the one-to-one I felt like was just it's just a really helpful discussion, like really, really helpful. And then I think I would have been much more confident having that conversation with an actual questioner that I kind of thought through in advance. So we've got one extra tool for you to try out today.
Controversial.
Yeah, it's a bit divisive. Sarah doesn't like it. I found it quite useful. So the tool is called Crystal Knows, and you just go to the website, you will download it. It'll put like a little thing on your toolbar, and you can, it has some surveys for you, which are kind of interesting, but the thing that is useful in the context of your community is you can attach it to your LinkedIn, and then when you look at someone's profile, it will use AI to basically tell you how to communicate with that person, what their likely DISC profile is, which is like a personality tool that you can use to profile people, how to email that person, if you're presenting information. It gives you loads of detail on how to engage with them. So I did this with Sarah. I thought, who can I test this with? You get 5 free goes. I wanted more. Once I'd got it in, I was like, I want to do this on more people. So I did it with Sarah. She came out as an initiator, visionary, charismatic and dynamic, just based on her LinkedIn profile. And it gave me do's and don'ts. So focus on high level summaries. When I was reading this, you were the one that I was like, I don't know, because you're just a bit of everything. AI finds it hard to analyse you. Well,
I guess this is also, it is a bit based on your LinkedIn profile. Yeah. So I suppose it's a lot based on that. Yeah. So I don't do very much posting on LinkedIn.
There was lots in there. I do think the visionary, charismatic, dynamic. Dynamic's probably debatable.
But to the point of, I don't post that much, so it's making some of it up, right? They haven't got that much data to work with.
I did it on Adam Grant, because I think, we'd like to get Adam Grant on the podcast. I was like, can it give me a few tips on how to engage with Adam Grant? So do be expressive and enthusiastic. Get the best response from Adam using this example. How would you feel about ... I was like, maybe try some of those. And then I did it on my husband. So I thought, let's see how true this really is. And actually, it was pretty accurate. I'm not going to read them. But it's useful. You get 5 goes. And I think, if I was going for an interview or I was working with a new stakeholder on a project, it's not that helpful for me to do it with you, to be honest. I know you really well. But if there was someone I was working with for the first time that I wanted a bit of insight into to inform how I communicate with them, Crystal Knows is a good tool.
I think my reservations
Sarah,
where I was like, I just don't want people to lose critical thinking.
That's true.
And actually, when you and I looked at some of the things for me, like some of it, we were like, well, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. So I think you've got to be a bit, just like always apply your own kind of critical thoughts to things. And also relationship building, feels like something you still want people to be able to learn. And I was like, I don't want people to see this as a substitute. It's like anything, right? Don't outsource your learning and development to an AI or to other people.
Yeah.
And don't outsource your ability to build relationships. And I do think, I suppose because I see at the moment, you can tell sometimes when things are written by AI. I would hate people to start sending emails to build relationships with people where you're like, oh, this is clearly in AI. We get them, right? For people sometimes wanting to come in the podcast. And I'm like, that's not a person that's written that. So it's just like some watch out.
So we'll watch out and caveat, don't be a stalker, all the things that Sarah would say as an introverted networker. But if you're thinking, I think just give it a go. Like just try it out, see what it tells you, see how useful it is for you.
And so as a team, how can you talk about this together other than maybe doing each other's LinkedIn profiles? It definitely makes you think about your LinkedIn profile. Yeah. That's what it made me think about. So as a team, one of the things you could do is talk about one thing you want to learn. So you might say, one thing I want to learn is how to use AI as part of my everyday. Or one thing I want to learn is, what is systems thinking? I hear people talk about it, but I just don't know what it is. One thing I want to learn is more about being a brilliant leader, or more about prioritizing or time management. There's some common ones that come up. And then you can have a discussion about, well, then who can help you? And also then who could you help? I think actually when you start to put your community around your learning or around your career based on your development, it's so much easier as a filter. And actually when I do this often with groups, they'll say, oh, I want to learn about all of those things I just said. And then I can be helpful straight away. I can be like, oh, well, if you're thinking about time, I love Oliver Burtman's work. But then someone else will chime in and say, oh, have you seen that Pomodoro thing that's free? And here's the app and here's the link. So everybody starts helping everybody. And you know your point about reciprocity when we started, I just see that happening. And I think that's easier if you've got a kind of goal, a learning goal. And it doesn't have to always be learning, but that's just a good place to start.
I think that sort of stuff just reframes how networking feels. But that is the end. That is the end of today's day 4 of the Squiggly Careers Skill Sprint, which means that tomorrow is our final day and we're going to be talking about how you can use AI to help with your future possibilities.